like an Adam Butler, just guys that are competing. You got a lot of talent there, a lot of guys. You're going to be cutting some guys who are good players.
Yeah.
Can you ask for more as a coach?
I try not to think about it right now.
No, but can you ask for anything more as a coach? That, hey, at least Ziegler's giving me enough guys that I'm going to have to be cutting some good. A lot better than, I guess I have to keep this guy, right?
Yeah, no question. I mean, competition. You get the best version of everybody in competition, right? They know everybody's fighting for their job. But I mean, it's a great, especially at the D tackle spot. It's very competitive. It's been a lot of fun.
The best ability is availability, and if a guy just can't be available, no matter how much you like him, can't do anything about it. Is that something you got to stress to a lot of young players when they get to the NFL? That, you got to know the difference between being hurt and being injured. Yeah. Without availability, your ability doesn't matter.
Yeah. Josh does a great job of that. I think that line you just said is posted in the training room. So, you can't compete if you're not on the field. It's always a process for these rookies to learn how to become a pro. It's not a 12-game college season. I say this is a marathon, not a sprint. So, what you're doing pre and post practice, what you're doing in the off season, all that stuff comes into play. Especially playing D-line.
How does Max make everybody else on the D-line better?
His consistency, I would say, would be the first word. Obviously, it's him as a person, but he's the same guy day in and day out. Not just emotionally, but his routine. I mean, he walks the walk. He shows everybody how to do it, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Even in practice, he's like nonstop. You always have to tell him to slow down a little bit, or not always be so amped up.
Especially not in pads. There's definitely an element of that, but he's full throttle all the time. He wants to be the best. Right. And it's awesome.
Can you see young players kind of feed off that, kind of suck that in?
No question. If I'm being honest, I think it can be overwhelming sometimes for a young player of wow, because he's at such a high level from a routine. I'm talking mainly on the field, off the field. That's just another step in the process for him. Once he takes the field, but he's the same guy all the time. So younger guys finding their own way, their own routine, and that fits them and who they are with regard to watching him, if that makes sense.
What do you Max keeps talking about, improving and finding ways to get better. Where do you think he can still get better?
His level of detail, the conversations you can have with him, you can see where he can improve. Like I said, not all players, that may be overwhelming to a rookie player. The high level conversation of technique, fundamentals, eye discipline, you can counter here. Young players may not see. And he's able to handle that because he knows himself so well. He knows his technique, his fundamentals, what he's good at. So there is always area for improvement.
Tom Izzo, the Michigan State Hall of Fame basketball coach, has said to me as a friend, and has said numerous times, when your best players are your hardest workers, then you have a championship potential team because they set the standard, not the coach. Do you agree with that? And so even Devontae, when he first got here, talked about Max winning sprints.
Yeah, that's right.
We talk about how he impacts the team that way by being that hard worker.
Yeah, I think, I wasn't here in the past years or whatever it may be, but for a guy that walks the walk, once you hit that, it's now in my mind what we talk about, how many guys can we bring with you? What you're alluding to is ownership. The players taking ownership of it. I encourage that all the time. I said the moment it's not coming from me, it comes from you guys. We're hitting the level where we want to be. They play, I don't. So their ability to fix things on the field, get the energy back right on the field, reset if we had a negative play. The moment that comes from them, which we're seeing elements of that, that's what championship teams do.
Coach, any thoughts on Darius Harris, heading into this season and what you've been seeing out of him for the last couple months?
Yeah, Harris or Butler?
Harris, excuse me.
Yeah, Harris. So he's only been here for about a week or so. He's done a good job just trying to pick up. Obviously, gotta get in football shape if you've been out for a little bit. But he's done a good job asking questions. You can tell he's in a playbook. And I think he'll get comfortable each day as he's here.
Same kind of question about Robert Spillane. I know you were talking about him a moment ago, but just thoughts on him so far heading into this first preseason.
Yeah, I love his attitude. Comes to work, got pen and paper in hand, brings his lunch pail to work every day. Doesn't say much. Just gotta watch him on the grass. He's the guy that embraces the physicality of the game. Ball means something to him. He loves ball, and I appreciate coaching a guy like that. It makes it easy. It makes my job fun.
From year one, from year two, what are some development? What's some of the development you've seen in Luke Masterson?
I think the game is slowing down. As a rookie, probably didn't expect to play as much as he played. Now that he's done that, you can go back and look at film. And when you look at film, you say, okay, I could have done this better. All right, now let's go in year two. He understands the system. He understands guys around him a lot better. And he's continued to grow. He understands that he has to keep working on his craft. No linebacker in year two is going to be a finished product. And obviously a guy who's transitioned from safety to linebacker, there's still progression and progress for him.
Kind of what you just mentioned, the safety to linebacker, that's a common occurrence that you've noticed within in your linebacker room. A lot of guys, that play safety in college and switching over. How vital is it, to have that skill set still as a safety?
Yeah, the AFC West fast division. So, having linebackers that can't run sideline to sideline or cannot cover, things of that nature, can't play in space, probably is not going to work for us. And I think, the new age linebacker, these guys, 220, 230 is about the range right there. And as long as you can run and, cover, it gives yourself a chance. Also, I think having that safety background, you see the field a lot better, right? You can see things. So all those guys in the room, they've adapted now to playing linebacker, and now you got to hone in on those skills.
Leading the new age of those linebackers, Devon Diablo in the locker room, he's kind of the longest tenured linebacker in that room, even at 3 years. What have you seen from him that you've really liked in his development?
Just day by day. Each day getting better at playing the linebacker position, better at communication, better at his assignment, alignment, and just doing what he's asked. I think the one thing about Diablo, he does a great job of just absorbing and being a sponge. He'll ask a question, he'll go out there and do it, and he'll come back and follow up, and then we watch it on film and make the corrections as needed. But when you become a student of the game, like he's trying to become, it's never going to be an endless process involved in it. He just has to keep growing as a linebacker. He'll be just fine.
Another guy that I've noticed has been getting a lot of kind of reps throughout practice is Amari Burney. He's a 6th round guy. However, he's shown flashes. What have you liked from him so far?
Hey, he can run. I can tell you that. He can run. If you watch him, he can accelerate from A to B pretty well. Another guy that's putting extra time in the off season and after practice, after meetings, study and watch himself on film. Again, when you got older guys in front of you that's played a little bit, it makes it a little bit easier, because you can go back and watch film. You might not get all the reps, but you can watch it from film study.
This linebacker core is very young and maybe not the most experienced bunch. What are some of the benefits that come with having such a young linebacker core?
They're a sponge. They don't know any better than what you tell them. So you tell them to do this, more than likely they're going to do that. And that's why I said about the group, being a hard hat, lunch pail type of group. You don't have to worry about egos and I know it all. They want to be coached up and become better pros. And when you have that, even not just as a linebacker, as a team, that makes sure we're all better.
Sometimes that middle linebacker is considered almost like the quarterback of the defense, but is that like a misconception? Do you need multiple quarterbacks on defense, to have good communication, or do you need one guy at some point to stand out?
Well, there's always going to be one voice. There's going to be one guy that talks and gives a huddle call. But overall, man, all those guys are supposed to talk. You can't play football without talking. I don't understand how you do that. So what we preach in our room, what we preach on this defense is communicating all 11 guys. So it doesn't matter which linebacker's in there. They all get communicated accordingly.
Obviously, new year, there's always going to be different things that, come and go. However, what are some of the differences that you've noticed just as a group going from last year in training camp learning the system to where this group is now?
I think more comfortable, understanding what, Pat Graham is asking of them, understanding the concepts, the nuances of each and every call, the attention to details each and every call. And I think just more comfortable with just the new culture, that Josh McDaniels is building, and they're growing within that. But again, it's nothing like it until you see it on game day, right? So those guys are just going to continue to do what they're asked, and I think that's the best part about this team overall. Guys just want to come to work every day and work.
As an overall unit, obviously there's a lot of change, but also a lot of constant, forces, like Trayvon and Nate. How different, or would you say the defensive backs room is compared to last year?
It's different every year. The biggest thing for us is we're trying to take this new group, have them understand what Pat is trying to get from us, and that's effort, communication, and discipline. Understanding that turnover differential as well, that's the biggest thing in terms of number one stat in terms of winning and losing. Understanding where your help is. We're just trying to build a cohesive unit.
Obviously, you play in a very competitive division. A lot of great aerial attacks. How important is it to kind of get your guys up to speed, make sure that they're on top of everything because they're going to be playing some really healthy competition?
They are, and the biggest thing is that's why I say building that cohesive unit. Whenever you're facing, the top quarterbacks, they will find it, if you make mistakes. So the biggest thing is for us to understand where our help is in every defense, is the strengths and the weaknesses of every defense, and then understand how we'll be attacked.
Obviously, you have a guy that you just drafted, Ja'Cory Bennett, who's been getting a lot of reps. He's showcased speed and a lot of things. What have you seen from him that you really like?
What I really like is his approach to the game. I really like his maturity. I like the fact that he's receptive to coaching, whether that be from me, whether that be tips from his peers. He's a guy that's really mature beyond his years.
And another guy, you have a couple of guys that are going from year one to year two, one of them being Isaiah Palomalu. He's a guy that's very versatile, can do a lot of things. What have you liked from him so far as well?
The thing is with those guys, it's always that progression from the first year to the second year. That first year in the National Football League is very eye-opening. You see that he's more settled, he's more poised, he's more confident being out there.
Also, another thing that's within the linebacker room is you have a lot of linebackers who were former safeties that transitioned into linebackers, kind of like that new age of linebackers. How much is it beneficial to have guys like that who can excel in coverage, also help within the pass defense?
That just speaks to where the NFL is now. It's a space game. You have to have guys that are athletic, guys that can move in space, guys that can operate in man and zone. And in order to do that, they have to be athletic.
Also, another guy that's really starting to kind of make some waves is Marcus Epps. He's a guy that was brought in this offseason, played a lot of games, very durable. What are some things that you've seen from him, and how has he been able to kind of put himself into the locker room and create cohesion with the other guys?
When you talk about those guys, you talk about just smart, tough, dependable. You start talking about the core of your football team and what you want it to look like, and then bringing guys in and just raising the standard.
You talk about raising the standard. That's a term that Marcus Peters said when he first signed with the Raiders. What do you believe he's been able to do to kind of raise the standard for the rest of the guys on the defense?
The biggest thing is, he's a smart player as well. He's a confident player, and he's a player that wants more than anything to win. That's what's most important to them. He brings that attitude. You see it all the way from meetings and then the application of it on the practice field.
I was talking to former safety Shannon Crowder a couple of weeks ago when he was here, and he said with Marcus Peters, you can play 10-on-10 football because he's can lock down his guy. How beneficial is it to have a guy like that where you can play 10-on-10 football where he's going to do his job?
It's good anytime you get a guy. The thing about him is, MP is he can play all different brands of football. He can play man, he can play zone. So he gives us the ability and the versatility to do a lot of things.
And also, this is your second year with the team. Obviously, there's been a lot of growth and improvement within your players. But you as a coach, what do you think that you've, learned, or what do you think areas you've grown just in going from year one with the Raiders now?
Well, I look to learn every year. Every offseason, I always take a look back and know what it feels like to be coached by me. I think that's important in terms of the way that I teach, the progression, just everything. So I always do peer studies as well. I have the guys do peer studies. I do peer studies. What are other coaches doing well? What are other schemes doing? And then try to incorporate that into what we do.
Obviously, you being a former player, you believe that also helps with your coaching, your coaching techniques and the things that you do with the players and connecting with them?
Absolutely. You can't ask those guys to get better, to perfect their craft, and then sit as a coach and don't try to do the same thing. I think there's a level of humbleness that you have to have, when you sit in my seat, where you have to be open as well to all of the questions.